Hey, what's up, Musers? This is John at Muse for You, here to help you build awesome websites without code. And I'm really excited to do today's video tutorial. It's actually a quick tip. It's quick tip number 18, and I'm going to be going over a website called patternninja.com. And this allows you to add a really great pattern background to your Adobe Muse website. So you can create your own pattern and then add it to your website. So I have an example website here that we're going to recreate, and if you notice here, I have these icons here in the background, and it's kind of a pattern in the background there. And then I have this kind of UI card here, user interface card, that I've just created here, and I've added some gradients and some text to the card. So I'll go ahead and go to patternninja.com. So I'll just go to Pattern Ninja, and it's kind of like Pattern Ninja, because there's not two N's, so it's just patternninja.com, and I'll leave a link in the description area below as well. So here we have this pattern generator, and it's super useful. It's probably the best pattern generator that I've come across, and we have so many different options, and if you scroll with your mouse, it actually zooms in and out of the pattern, and it comes with preset patterns. So over here to the left is kind of like the toolbar. So here we can change the color of different elements in our pattern. Here we have shapes, so it comes with some pre-stocked shapes. And let me zoom out here so we can kind of see it. So you can use all these shapes that come with the pattern generator. Then you have your layers panel, so you can kind of layer different patterns on top of each other. You can duplicate images in the pattern, you can delete images that are in the pattern, and here you can set the width of the pattern, and I'll go over that in a second. That'll make more sense as I'm adding images to it. You can zoom, again you can do it with the scroll bar or here in the zoom section, and then here you can show bounds and show grid. I like to have this checked because it lets me know where elements are placed within the pattern. So literally one square here is just getting duplicated over and over to create this pattern. So you can place different elements within one of these squares here, and that'll be your pattern. So I'll go ahead and get started on creating a new pattern. And to create a new pattern, you just click on this icon here. And I'll go over these other options here in a second. After you finished your pattern, you can download it here, but we'll be working with these first five options here. So we're going to create a new pattern by clicking on this option here, and let me zoom out here, and it says save current pattern. You can create an account to save your patterns. For now I'm just going to say no. Then we have this blank transparent background here, so you can just drag and drop images. You don't need to go here and say upload image. You can just drag and drop images. The images do need to be SVG, and that's actually kind of useful because the quality of the pattern will be really great, because SVG does not lose quality no matter how large or how small it's scaled. And then what's great about this too is that you can color the SVG right in the Pattern Ninja interface here. So I'm just going to drag and drop a few icons here. So I'm going to drag this one in, and this is like a plus symbol. And then we could see it's kind of like really large, and it looks a little bit strange within the pattern. And all we have to do here is click on any one of these, and as soon as a dotted circle appears around it, you can grab the circle here and just drag in to make it smaller, and you can rotate it as well. So it's a really powerful pattern generator. So let me zoom out here, and I'll just place that there. And for now I'm going to make the background white so I can kind of see what my pattern's looking like as I'm working on it. So I'll go to the colors option here, and here in the background color, we can set the opacity to 100. So we have a white background there, and I can kind of see the icons a bit better. And I can also color these icons. So with this website that I'm going to create for this tutorial, I have two colors in mind, and those colors are actually here in the swatches panel. So I'm just going to grab them, and let me just create a rectangle here, and I'll select this blue right here. I'll go back to the pattern generator, and then for the image color right here, you can just click once and paste the hex code in there, and it'll change to that color, which is really great. And I can rotate it. Just grab that circle there, and I can rotate the icon there. So I'll add a few more just for the pattern, and then I'll recreate that UI card as well. So let's see, let's use this arrow, just drag it in there, and then let me resize it here just like that. And I'll place it like somewhere in there, and I'll color this a different color here. Grab the screen color and go into the image color and paste and enter. So there we go. So I'll just move this here and something like that, and I'll grab one more or a couple more. Let's see. Yeah, we'll grab the smiley face here. Oops, don't want to put it in Muse. Let me go back in here and just drag it in there, and yeah, make it smaller here. Probably wouldn't really use a smiley face, but it's okay. So we'll put it in there, and I'll grab this blue. Let me just copy this hex code here from that blue icon to make the face blue here as well. All right, and I'll grab one more. Let's see. We have a few here. Yeah, we'll grab this one. And I keep placing it in Muse. So let me go back here into the browser and just drag and drop in there. And then just make it smaller as well. And do something like that. All right. And I'm gonna grab this green color from this icon. So grab the hex code in here, copy, click on this icon, and paste that in there. So now it's green as well. All right, so you can see how simple that was. I just, just the basic layers here, the basic options, color, color, the icon layers, so I can move these around. I can duplicate, if I wanted to duplicate this plus symbol, I could just click here, and now it's duplicated, and I have two of those for my pattern. Do something like that. Actually, I don't want that one, and you can just hit delete if you want to delete it. I'm going to copy this arrow one here and place it like something like that, and we'll do something like that. Okay, and there we go. So there's my pattern. I just have a few icons. It's a little bit, that might be too much for the pattern, so we'll just work with it. It's kind of just an example. You don't want to clutter the pattern too much. As you can see, I have a lot of icons here, so it might not look bad depending on the design that I'm going for, but we'll work with it for now. It's just kind of a demonstration. So yeah, now that I have all the icons in there for my pattern, and let me rotate this to make it look a little bit nicer. So now that I have all the icons for my pattern, the next thing I'm going to do is add, or actually let me save this, and then we're going to add an opacity to it, because this could be a little bit obnoxious if you have other elements on your website. If these icons are fully colored, it could distract the user from the entire site. But I'll go ahead and download it so I can kind of showcase that a bit better. To download the pattern after you've created it, you just go to this icon here, the download button, and it'll download here. So here we're going to save as PNG. So here it says download a PNG if you need a regular resolution image working in all environments, and that is what we need. SVG, it says download an SVG if you need an image in vector format, recommended for printing. So I'll just download as PNG here. So I'll click download. So here I've grabbed the pattern from my downloads folder and placed it in this folder, and I'll just rename it to pattern-1 here. So now I'll go back into Adobe Muse. I'm going to create a new site. So I'm going to go to File, New Site, and I'll click OK. And I'll double click on the home page. So now I'll add the pattern. So to add the pattern, you go to Browser Fill right up here. Make sure you're clicked outside the website here. If you don't see these options, just click anywhere in this blank area outside of the web page here, or the website. So I'll go to Browser Fill. I'll click Add Image, and then I have Pattern 1 here. So I'll double click, and there I have my pattern. I do want it to be tiled. I'll position it in the center. You can position it however you want, depending on how you want your pattern to look. And then I'll uncheck scrolling because I don't want my pattern to scroll just like that. So I could position it differently, kind of depending on what I wanted for the pattern. I'll just position it in the center there. So there's my pattern. So if I go to File, Preview Page in Browser, we have that pattern there. So these icons, they're a little bit big and there's full color to them, so it looks a little bit distracting. What I would do in this case, I would go back into the pattern generator. I'd probably make everything even a bit smaller, just kind of shrink everything down just like that. and I'll shrink this down too. And then I'm going to give an opacity to each of these icons. So to do that, you just click on the icon, you go to the color option here, and then right here in the image color, we have the opacity here to the right. So here I'm going to say 20%, and I'm just going to click on all of them. If I can grab them there and say 20%. This one, zoom out here. So we'll grab this one, 20%, this one, 20%, and this one, 20%. All right, so there's my pattern. It's a little bit lighter. The icons have a bit more opacity. So now I'll download again and click download. Okay, so here I have the second pattern, so I'll just call this pattern 2. All right, I'll go back into Adobe Muse, go to browser fill, and I'll select pattern 2. All right, looks good. So there I have the pattern. I'll preview in the browser, and that's a little bit better. It's just nice and light in the background. It's not really too distracting, but you can see those icons in the back there. So that is the patternninja.com website. It's a pattern making application, and it's really useful. I really like this this website here a lot to create patterns. So I'll go ahead and style the website kind of like I did with the first preview page. The first thing I did was add the browser border, so we can have a nice browser border around the site. So I'll just type in, go to my library panel here, type in browser border, and I'll bring browser border with all sides with image. And I'm gonna go back into this website and just get these colors here because I'm gonna work with these colors. So here, and this isn't too important, I'm just kind of saving colors in my swatches. There I have that color. Go back to this website, get this blue color, copy the hex code, and go back to my new website. Go to the fill option up here, paste that in there, click on this icon to add the swatch, and click OK. So now I have those two colors, that green color and that blue color in my swatches panel, so I can work with it in this website. All right, so there we go, we have that. So now for the browser border, I'll set the border width to 30. The color I'll set to this kind of lighter green here that I just added, and that's it. So let's see how that looks. I'll preview in the browser, and then we have that nice browser border. And now I'll create that UI card that I showed in the beginning, that user interface card. So I'll go to my rectangle tool here to the left. I'll create a rectangle like so. I think the dimensions were, let me grab it here, 300, yeah, 300. I'll do 300 by 525. So here in the width and height, we'll say 300 by 525. Okay, I'll zoom out, and there we have the rectangle. I'm gonna add a stroke to it in the meantime so I know that it's here. Then I'm gonna bring in the advanced gradient widget. So I'm gonna go to my library panel, and I'm gonna type in advanced gradients. Zoom out here, and I'm gonna bring in advanced gradients, 2 colors with the graphic style. So I'm gonna click, hold, and drag and place onto my Adobe Muse website. So here I'll go into the advanced gradients. For color 1, I'll select this blue color. For color 2, I'll select this green color. And the gradient angle, I think I set it to 60 here in the gradient angle. And that's it. So yeah, and now I want to apply the graphic style name, gradient 1, that's in here, to this rectangle. So I'll click on the rectangle, I'll go to my graphic styles panel, I'll click on this icon here, and it creates a new graphic style. So I'll double click, and in the graphic style dialog box, I'll call this gradient 1 because that's the name that's in the widget. And so now these properties will be applied to this rectangle. So let's see how that looks. I'll go to File, Preview Page, and Browser, and there I have that gradient applied to this rectangle. Looks good. So now I want to corner the corners here, give a corner radius to this rectangle. So I'll click on it, and right up here we have the corner radius tool. So you just want to click all the corners, and I have it set to 10 here. So 10 is good for the corner radius. So the corners of that rectangle are a little bit more rounded. And that's it. So let me take the stroke off here. We'll see how that looks. And then we have that that gradient rectangle with the rounded corners. So the next thing I'm going to do is add a nice shadow to it. So for that, I'm going to bring in the graphic styler widget, which I just went over in a recent video tutorial. So I'm going to go to my graphic styles, I'm going to go to my library panel, and I'm going to type in the graphic styler. Zoom out. Here I'll click, hold, and drag, place right in there. And for this one, I want to go for the websites here in the widget options. I want to go to the box shadow generator. So I'll click right there, and now I'm going to create a shadow. I actually want that blue color, so I'm going to go in here, click here, and I'm just going to copy this hex code here for this blue color. Okay, let me go back to Chrome. For the shadow color, I'm going to just paste that hex code in here, hit enter. For the horizontal length, I'm going to say 0. Vertical length we'll leave at 10. The blur radius, I'm going to say 46. The spread radius, I'm going to say -10. So it's a nice subtle shadow there. And that's it. I like the opacity set at 0.75 and looks good. So now I'm going to copy this text. So I'm going to just copy all of this, hit Command-C to copy, go back into Muse, go into the graphic styler, and paste that code in here in the code section. There's no keyframes for this code, so I'll just delete this code here. And that's it. And for this one, we don't need a new graphic style because we already applied the graphic style gradient 1 to the rectangle. We can just write gradient 1 here as well. So now the shadow and the gradient will be applied to that rectangle there, because this rectangle here already has the graphic style gradient 1 applied to it. So both of these are gradient 1. So let's see how that looks. And just like that, we have a nice shadow and a gradient to this rectangle. So the next steps are fairly simple. They're just kind of creating a circle. So let me, I'm going to darken the background here so I can kind of see it as I'm working on it, or the browser fill. Let's see. And one thing I just noticed, I saved the pattern with a white background. I normally wouldn't do that. I want to set the background to transparent. So I'm just going to click here in the pattern generator, and for the opacity option here, I'm going to say 0. So it's transparent, and I'll show why that's useful in a second. So I'm going to download it again and kind of re-add it to the website. Okay, so here's the pattern, and I'll just call it pattern 3. All right, and this one's transparent. And I could call it, just so I know, pattern 3 transparent. All right, looks good. So I'll go back into Muse, I'll go to the browser fill, click here and add pattern 3 transparent, just like that. And the reason why I decided to change it to transparent is because if I decide to change the entire browser fill color, then those icons will still be there, but I can change the color of the background. So here I'll just change it to something like this, and I'll make this rectangle here white so I can see it as I'm working on it, or we'll make it kind of this color here. So I'm just working with random colors because I'm already overriding styles with these widgets here. So, and then afterwards I can also remove the colors as well, but it helps me design the element as I'm working on it if it has colors to it. So here I want to add a circle in the middle. So I'll go to my rectangle tool and select the ellipse tool, and I'll hold down shift to create a perfect circle, and I'll make the stroke of the circle 2 pixels here and set the stroke to white. All right, so there we have it, and I'll place that circle in there. And then I have a check mark icon that I got from Google. I just did a Google search and got this check mark here. I'll just make it a bit smaller, right in there. Looks good and perfect. All right, then I'm going to create a button here. So I'm going to select the rectangle tool over here. Yep, rectangle tool. I'm going to create a button. So I'll hold down, or yeah, I'll just create a button here. I'll fill it with white, and we'll make this button, the height we'll say 40 for the height, and the width 150. There's my button, and for the corner radius, I'm going to set it, give it a corner radius and set it to 100, so it has really rounded corners, so it has this nice oval shape here to the button. All right, and then I'll add some text, and here I'll say click here, style the text, I'll say Roboto, and I'll center it, and we'll make the text color blue. All right, looks good. and I'll center, make sure both of these are centered. So I'll go to align, make sure that it's aligned to content area here, and center it. So it's nice and centered within the site. All right, looks good. And now I want to apply a shadow to this button as well. So I'm gonna copy this graphic styler, and just here in the widget options, I'm gonna say button 2 or button 1. And this is the shadow I want to apply to it, the same shadow that's applied to this rectangle. So the code is already in there. So now I'll click on this button here, and I'll go to my graphic styles panel, create a new graphic style by clicking on this button. I'll double click on style and button, call it button 1. All right, so let's see how that looks. I'll go to file, preview page in browser, and it's looking good. So there we have the button. It has the shadow to it. It says click here, and I'll just write Muse for you there at the top. So I'll go to the text tool here to the left, create some text, and I'll just say Muse for you here. Center it, make it white, set it to 18, and I'll say Roboto, just Roboto regular there. All right, and I'll center this here. Something like that, looks good. And I'll take the browser fill off, so I'll set it to white, and I'll move this down a little bit here within the website. So let me go to file, preview page in browser, and there we go. We have that nice UI card. We have that background created with patternninja.com. The last thing I'll do is add the font smoother to make the font really nice and smooth. So I'll add the font smoother. So I went to the library panel, type in font smoother, and I'll bring in the font smoother light right in here. All right, then I'll preview, and there we have it. We have this nice UI card, has a nice gradient, a nice icon, some text, and a nice button here where the user, if I link this to a website or another page, the user can click here and go to that page. So the last thing I'll do is I'll kind of mess with that background color, because as I was developing this or working on this, I found that different colors made for some really interesting effects. So here I changed the browser fill color. So I went to the browser fill, changed it to this dark blue, and that kind of made the UI card look really cool. Kind of has this fading here to the right, and I kind of like that. I can also change it to green. And there we go, that looks pretty good as well. And I tried another background. It was a darker color. And there we go. So it kind of glows a little bit because of the shadow and the gradient, which is kind of cool. So you can have a lot of fun, with like the styling widgets, like the graphic styler and the gradients. And now with the patternninja.com, you can really add some nice styling elements for your website background. So that's it for this video tutorial. I'm going to change it back to white here just to kind of end on that note. So I'll preview in the browser, and there we have it. So again, that's quick tip number 18. I kind of went over a few other things just because I'm having a lot of fun with some of these design elements, and I really want to showcase that here in Adobe Muse. So again, it's Pattern Ninja. It's PATTERNINJA.com. There will be a link in the description area below, and they're really simple tools. Color, shapes. You can drag and drop SVGs right into the application here, or the interface. You can change the layers, duplicate layers, or delete them, and you can kind of work with the pattern size, zoom in and out, show bounds and grids as you're working, so you can see how large each pattern square is, and with your mouse wheel you can zoom in and out of the pattern, and then you can download, you can share. I think this is a bookmark, or save the pattern, and you would have to create an account to save and kind of check out your previous patterns and things like that. Here, this first one is to create a new pattern, so you just click there and you can save the pattern or not and have a completely new pattern. So that is patternninja.com. That was quick tip number 18. All the widgets that I used in this tutorial can be found at museforyoushop.com. And here you can click subscribe now. And here you can click subscribe now to get access to all widgets and any new widgets I come out with for $39 a year. Or if you'd like to subscribe with PayPal, you can click here and subscribe with PayPal. The graphic styler widget is here. We used the advanced gradient widget, which is right here. and a few other ones, the font smoother and the browser border as well. So the browser border I think is down here. Here's the browser border and the font smoother down here. So if I can find it, yeah, here's the font smoother. So all those widgets can be found at museforyoushop.com, and you can click on the widget to purchase individually. Here you can click add to cart to purchase individually, or again, you can get access to all widgets and any new widgets I come out with for $39 a year. And if you'd like to subscribe with PayPal, you can click here and subscribe with PayPal. So that's it for this video tutorial. Again, I do this to help you build awesome websites without code. If you like this video tutorial, you can subscribe below. Also in the show more section below are links to other resources and links to museforyoushop.com. So again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video tutorial. Thank you.